Hi guys, this is the podcast with Serena,
Natalie,
and Kayla.
and we're going to talk about our books that we read. So I read 10 by Gretchen McNeil.
I read The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami.
And I read Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas.
Okay, so we're going to pick a theme to go with our books. Let's just talk a little bit about what our books are kind of about.
Okay, so mine is about everything because it's literally super random and there's a bunch of plot. And basically, a guy and his wife are in Tokyo, or no, in Japan. Cat goes missing. Eventually he meets a bunch of weird people because of that. His wife goes missing. He goes into a well. He stays in that well. And and he goes into an alternate world type of thing.
Oh. Okay, my book Concrete Rose is the experience of a black male who's 17 years old, in a gang affiliated neighborhood, and he finds out he is the father of a child. So he has to kind of, turn more into an adult. It's like a coming of age story, so we learn how he matures and he stops doing illegal things and he starts to think more about his child and his future. So yeah.
Okay, cool. In my book, it's about 10 teenagers that spend a weekend on this island, and 8 of them end up getting murdered, and it's just throughout the story, more and more getting murdered, and it's us trying to figure out who the murderer is. So honestly, I feel a good something that a theme between all of our books could be intensity and tension. There's lots of intensity. There's always something happening.
Yeah, I agree.
I
agree.
Yeah. Do your guys' books seem realistic, or would it actually happen?
Okay. Mine definitely does not feel realistic. I mean, there's a lot of aspects about it that are. For example, there was a lot of comments on war at that time, the time they were talking about. And those things probably did happen. There was a torture scene where they, skinned someone alive. That probably did happen. That probably happened during war. But a lot of it is not very realistic. I don't think that I could go to a bottom of a well right now and suddenly be in a different world.
I think my book is very realistic. Even if it was set in 1998, I think the discrimination, for example, against people of color within the police force is still something that happens today. And even her book that is set way after my first book that I read is kind of explaining that the neighborhood hasn't changed, and also gang affiliation is still something that's current in our society right now, as well as drug dealing and drug consumption between teenagers. So
my book I think could be realistic, but also there's 10 teenagers and they're going to this island. They're in grade 12. They're all alone, no parents, no contacts, nothing. There's no service. And then one of them is a murderer because his sister killed herself. And so he's mad that his sister killed herself. So now he wants to pay all these people back by killing them.
Oh.
So I feel but also this would be something that I feel could happen in our society. What character do you relate the most to?
A lot of these characters are really wackadoodle. So I mean, I don't really relate to the rapist politician. I don't really relate to the wacko wife. I guess I would relate most to the only other teenage girl in the book, which would be Mei Kasahara. But she's a little wackadoodle too. But yeah, she's the only other teenage girl, and I feel she's kind of normal. Ooh, no, she's not. But okay.
So my book is really about a lot of teenagers who are either gang affiliated or, some of them are rich and trying to, I guess get out of that neighborhood. And I don't relate to any of that, but for some reason, I just think that I relate to the main character in a sense, mainly, I guess, because of his family kind of situation, because his mother's a really hard worker and he's trying to help support her, and I think in that sense I relate to him because I want to do the same for my mom.
I am gonna go with a girl named Meg. She's nice, she's smart, which I like to think I am too. There was something else about her. Oh yeah, Also, okay.
Was she also annoying?
Pardon?
Was she also annoying? Or like,
Oh.
is that like
Oh,
just
I
you?
don't think so.
Oh, okay.
This might be a little controversial, but she was the last one to be alive. To be honest, I feel like if I was in a house with 9 other teenagers and one of them was a murderer, I feel like I'd be the last alive.
Oh, okay.
Like, not trying to be like that, but I feel like I would live the longest.
I think the murderer would want to kill you first, but okay.
No, but like, I feel like I would like kill. I don't know, like, I would. How is this book an original and unique from like other books?
My book, I think it's unique because it's like a bunch of different stories in one, and it's like I've never read a book like it. And it's also very, very detailed. Like, the way that Murakami writes the book is super duper detailed. And he does, like, a bunch of descriptive words. So it really makes you, like, you can really visualize the world that he's telling you about. And I don't think a lot of novels do it as well as he did, at least. So it's very original.
First of all, the way the writer writes it, she uses, like, language that, like, a teenager would say. I think it's, like, very true to, like, what the youth would say, like, compared to, like, you know, those writers that are like millennials and they like write
I'm like, girl, no, we don't say
and
that.
they write, and like, even though this was set in the 90s, it was a lot better than like, you know, someone being like, oh, my teacher popped a dab in the middle of my class.
Bro,
like,
that was so lit though.
that was so lit. Yeah, like,
that was fire,
so
yo.
I think like in that way it's unique, but also I just think the story has many different elements to it. Like,
This book, I think, is quite original, and like, it honestly surprised me a lot because I feel like lots of murder books, like, or shows, you're like, okay, like, it's obviously them, right? Like, you're like, I know exactly who it is. Or there you have, like, a bunch of suspects. I literally suspected every single person except for the person that actually was the murderer. Like, I expected it to be anybody but who it actually was. So it was super, like surprising, and it was good because when it's, like, when you already know by the start of the book that who it's going to be, like, it's like boring. You're like, I don't even need to continue. I already know who's gonna be the murderer. What feelings did this book evoke for you?
I'd say confusion. Definitely. Yeah. No, I really liked it. It actually had a very eerie vibe. I didn't expect that. So it kind of made me almost uncomfortable. The emotion I felt for a lot of it was like, I felt not okay in my own skin. Like Serena does every day. But, oh my god! Okay, so Serena has fallen. But
okay, I honestly, the book made me sad. I think there was a lot of grief elements into it because of, you know, what happened to the characters. I mean, one of his, like, only really, I guess, father figures, since his father's, like, in jail and he's not really around. His cousin was there to always help him, give him advice, but then his cousin died. And I think, like, after that part, the book just became really, really darker because he was kind of, I guess, exploring emotions of like how he felt, but he had to be the man of the family because his father was gone, right? So he had to keep it all in.
So this book was very scary, okay? I was frightened and I didn't want to go to sleep after that. But we're all good, honestly. It was fine. So I couldn't read it past 5 p.m. and if it was dark outside or like gloomy, I would have been too scared to read it. If you guys had to pick a different title for this book, what would you pick it to be? Okay, so my book is named 10. I would name it... Okay, so when you open the book, the first page says, and their doom comes swiftly. And this is, like, to do with something that happens in the book. Like, they watch a movie and it says, right? And honestly, I think that would be, like, a really good title. Like, not but without end. Like, their doom comes swiftly.
there's so much stuff that happens with this book that I'm like, it's kind of hard. But I feel like a main thing in it would be like the well, or the cat. So I think you could make a little title around that, like what happens behind, or like under the well, or like the cat under the well, or like inside the well, or like the other side of the well. Yeah.
My book is called Concrete Rose because there's a lot of symbolism because like the character grows like with the roses that he's gardening in his boss's garden. So I actually, like, I was thinking teenage fatherhood in the hood. Because that's all I could think. Teenage fatherhood in the hood.
If this story was told from one person's perspective that wasn't the perspective that, like, it actually was told from, who would you want to hear this story from? Okay. I want to hear it from technically the antagonist of the book, Noboru Wataya, because I'm so confused about him. Like, what's going on in his messed up little brain? I want to know. And, like, yeah, I want to hear this story from him.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so basically my main character's best friend is a drug dealer who's he's not in school, like he's just kind of like a kid in the hood, like, you know, we don't really see what's gonna, like, nothing's gonna happen in his future, let's be honest here. So I want to know what's going on, like, in his thought process, like why he's doing what he's doing, because like it's not really established, like we kind of only know that like he has some family things going on, but like I really want to know what's going on in that mind of his.
So my book isn't really written from anybody's point of view, but if it were to be, I think it would be really interesting to have it from the murderer's point of view and like how he planned all of this. But also, I don't know if I would want that, because then it wouldn't be as like, because you would know who the murderer is, right? And so like it would be revealed, and so it wouldn't be as, you know. Yeah. Thank you. Bye, Mr. Purdy. We love you.
Bye.
Stop playing with them, Riot. And I'm bad like the Barbie. I'm a doll, but I still wanna party. Pink felt like I'm ready to bend. I'm a 10, so I